you need to know that women are the ones who are going to change the world, and like realize that women are evolving faster. And I think about it now, 8 years later, and all my study of feminist thought is that we have had it harder on some level. And so we've had to develop all these different creative aspects to ourselves.
It's not about necessarily leaving your job. I don't believe in making big decisions when you have big emotion. And so that can be really daunting. But I think it's also this huge opportunity to reconnect with your feminine, which is creative. You know, where can I make a difference? I need to replug into my passion over here.
You are the well-being wisdom warrior, the heartfelt healer,
the luminary leader,
the health harbinger,
the shaman, the witch, the guru,
the guide of humanity to an embodied, enlightened future.
Welcome to the Well Pro Show, the podcast for wellness pros,
where your wellness lifestyle is your core leadership strategy.
Experience the camaraderie of collaborative colleagues,
where your job as a wellness pro is to guide the transformation.
You are the resistance, the future, the way forward.
You are the community counselor, the change maker.
The Well Pro Show, brought to you by futurist thought leader Cate Stillman and the team at Wellness Pro Academy. Made for you, by us.
Hey, it's Cate Stillman with the Well Pro Show, and I'm here with Betsy Rippentroff and Kate Moreland from Tend Her Wild. And it's really fun to have this conversation. I want to get into women breaking out of their wellness pros, particularly like breaking out of their traditional path within their profession and doing their soul work. So why don't we just start? I mean, you guys have really different backgrounds. Betsy has a PhD. She's a licensed psychologist and certified yoga and meditation teacher. You've written books. You have your own signature system course. You have a podcast with Kate. And Kate, you went from practicing law for a decade and going into transformational coaching and well-being consulting. So let's just start a little bit with like, what does it feel like to be trapped in a profession where you've invested probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to get to that degree and to have an established, putting the time and energy to have an established career or practice? And what does it feel like when it's not working or when there's something else?
You want to start, Kate?
You start?
Okay.
So I would say, I have a psychology degree as well and a business minor. And I had kind of a fork in the road during college of what I wanted to do next. I was so drawn to psychology, and yet my dad was a lawyer. I've been told my whole life I should be a lawyer. That was supposedly success, to be a lawyer or a doctor. And so I took the path that everyone else was lighting up for me, but it wasn't me that was lit up. And I knew that the first week of law school, if I'm being honest, and I am honest now about it, just wasn't right. And I forged ahead 3 long, hard years of doing something that I just thought I'll grow to love, or I'll grow to like.
I'll grow to love law.
I'll just grow. And I prosecuted. So I started off my career as a prosecutor. So I picked a really, calm, easy first legal job. In some ways, felt like I could make a difference. I did a lot of juvenile law work. So represented a lot of neglected kids. And so I tried to find a spot where I could connect and I could make a difference that felt like me inside of that very kind of patriarchal system that law is. And then I moved on to private practice for a while and was a divorce attorney. So
a lot of joy in that.
A lot of joy.
There,
yeah.
Kate.
A lot of high conflict divorce. So, I'm a glutton for punishment, if nothing else. But there came a tipping point when I had my children, and that's when I discovered I think I'm at least highly sensitive, if not an empath, and all this is sticking to me, and I can't be a good parent and a good friend and a good wife and I can't be me in the system anymore because I'm carrying it all around with me. I just couldn't release it. And I took a step back. I had a year at home with my third baby, which I'd never done. I'd always worked through all my children. And I just reassessed things for myself. I started teaching, doing some part-time things. And then I had a really big moment where an opportunity came up in a whole different field of community relations and nonprofit work. And I completely took this other turn. And it was the first time I'd ever really followed my own heart. And I had a lot of therapy around that because I'd been listening to these external voices most of my life. And it was very foreign to me. I was nervous about following my heart, but it put me on this whole new trajectory, and ended up through some of that work getting coaching certified. I did some workforce work. I became CEO during the COVID crisis. So I kind of worked my way up the ladder again. I have no regrets about that, but I also knew that this last chapter, or my next chapter, is going to be about how I design it, and it's going to be working for myself, and it's going to be solving the problems that I see in the world the way that I want to solve them, not because others are telling me how to do it. And there's been a lot of freedom in that, a lot of, fear. It comes up for me, but I've never felt more authentic in myself, in my work. And there's so much freedom in that. And it's taken me, 52 years to come to this point. So it's not been an easy road. And I hope for my own children that, that's not their road, but for me, that's how I got here and when I got here. And I've taken all the lessons I've learned about, different things throughout the years to be hopefully someone who can help others navigate these transformational times and times when they know there's something else out there and they need someone to hold space for them, because that's what I needed back then.
Yeah. Wow. Betsy?
Yeah. Well, Cate and I share, our stories are actually different, but the thing that is similar is that we were these, smart girls, perfectionist girls, do it right girls, follow the rules, stay with things that are hard. But we kind of laugh, at least in our podcast or in our friendship, we sort of balanced out. She's got a very masculine, get things done energy, and I've got this very nurturing, sort of softer, empathic, intuitive energy. And yet we've both been learning we have to develop both sides of the coin. And so I entered a very feminine career as a psychologist, right? I mean, my colleagues, even most of my grad program was women, but I chose the hardest route. Like I chose the PhD route, the highly competitive route, the research route. So I definitely, had to learn using that sort of linear analytical part of me as well, which is a big part of me. And even though there was some space in my profession to be in a more empathic, soft place, I knew right away, a year out of, so I did 4 years of undergrad, I did 7 years of graduate school. And so I didn't get my first job till I was 30. And I knew in that first job, I was like, holy shit, I just spent $80,000 on school and I've never had a job. I'm 30 and this is all I got. Like I remember sitting with clients and I'm like, this is all I've got. I only know how to ask them about their thoughts and their behaviors and do cognitive behavioral work. Like this is it. And I went into like a little dark night of the soul for myself at, sitting on all this debt. Here I'd reached the pinnacle of what, all the hoops that you're told you should jump through to bring yourself success. I'd done all of it. And I'm sitting with a client across from me having this midlife crisis of like, I only know how to work with them from the neck up. This is bullshit. And so then I took another, I would say, decade, my 30s to my 40s, studying yoga and Ayurveda and meditation and all the esoteric stuff. And now from my 40s to my 50s, I've been integrating these two sides of the coin. But it did require a leaving up. I mean, I always tell people when I introduce myself as a psychologist, I'm like, but I'm not really like a psychologist because I don't really work that way. I'm trying to integrate more of the holistic perspectives. So I too had to like work my way out of what was successful. And I think that's the biggest trap. Like if we're talking about what traps women, at least our story, is the trap is we're told what to do. We follow the rules. We do it right. We do it frickin' well. We do it well. Then the men that are on our same track because we have to get ahead, right? And you keep checking off the boxes and then suddenly you're lost, you're stuck. You're like, this is it. This is all I got. I thought I should feel better. I should know more. I should feel more sustained. I should feel like I'm, giving more. This is what happened here. I thought I did it all correctly. And I think that's when we start to have to really punch out of the boxes and rewild and figure out the authenticity of our own nature. And that is so much easier said than done.
So yeah, let's talk about this because we're all mothers. You both have 3 each, right? And I have 1. And there's that outside, like that breaking outside the box. Like one of the things that I always look at is like, am I constructing the box, right? Or am I reinforcing, what boxes am I reinforcing that culture is already constructed, right? And how are we creating our future? So that's one thing that I look at all the time. It's like how am I back when I was pregnant with Indy, I created a course, Mother as the Midline, that took the midline concept of Sushumna Nadi and brought that into how, basically the mother's like the center of the orbit. All the orbits are happening around the mother's strongest pole, right? It's just, to me, it was just like genetics and how mammals reproduce, kind of a concept, right? But it keeps going as the kids get older and as culture is changing so rapidly, like potentially more rapidly than ever. And so how do you guys navigate that? Like what you're perpetuating, like what beliefs, what systems, and where do you have the most conflict with that right now? Like internally, or within family dynamics, just as you model the way for other female professionals that are mothers.
Well, my kids are approaching, all of them early 20s. 2 of them are over 20. And I think what I hear from them is they have seen me go through this evolution. They have seen me take risks and chances and step into this new work that I'm doing. And I think that, from their own words, that they have some pride around that. And so I do think that modeling is a huge thing for women to be able to do, not just for our daughters, but also our sons, because I have 2 boys. And I think they see that. In fact, we've had this conversation like, Mom, you had this CEO job, this important job, and you left it. And they wanted to know, how does that feel? Do you miss it? At the same time, they see me happier, more fulfilled. They don't always quite understand what I'm doing, but they know that I've shifted. And so it's really opened the door to some amazing conversations. My daughter's a nurse, and she is trying to kind of find herself in the health profession. And so it's allowed us to have these conversations about, it's okay if you try something on and it doesn't fit. It's okay to pivot. Mm-hmm. Don't wait till you're 50. So I think in some ways, because my kids are older now, we can have these really rich conversations about, there's different chapters in your life, and you show up for those chapters based on your experiences and what you have at that moment. And it's also okay to change. It's okay to take chances and take risks. I think especially as women, we're not really taught to do that. We're taught to just kind of stay where you're comfortable, get the A's, So for me, I think it's just opened a lot of great conversations, and hopefully I've shown them a different way, and they will be open to that in their own lives and with their, potential partners or spouses, and have kind of a different way of seeing this success and in a new way.
Yeah. Betsy?
Yeah, I'm having a really hard time even thinking about how I want to answer this question. And I think it's, Cate, because I still have young kids at home. I have a 12-year-old, I have a 15-year-old, and then I have an 18-year-old who's going off to college. So I think my biggest struggle around working in systems, like I love your question of, did I create the box? That I really actually have to sit with that one for a while longer, because it's so easy to say, well, these boxers are created and I've just been living it out and then I got to bust through them, versus like, well, no, actually you've had choice all along. And you created this box, and it's really easy to blame it on the patriarchy or blame it on your parents or blame it on, you know, the workforce, but like you created it, Betsy, and you're in it, right? So it's a big question for me to keep chewing on. Hey, thank you for opening that can of worms for me. Yeah. So it's easier to project it out and be like, it's their fault that I'm in this box versus like, no, you created this box. But I guess the thing I want to play off of the other Cate's comment here is, and I love your piece too of the mother as the center. And the family sort of like navigates around, circles around her. I really feel that strongly. And I do look at the culture, the toxic culture we all live in. I look at what my kids want to eat based on the friends that they're around. I look at the social media accounts. I look at them just being kids in this culture, normal, quote, unnormal kids, and feeling distressed by that, wanting to totally pull them out and do something completely different, and not knowing exactly how to do that. So the only thing that gives me some peace is that I know they're observing a mom, and they've observed a mom throughout their whole life who gets up every morning and meditates, who does fasting, who does cleansing, who like they see these things. And so even if they're not jumping on the bandwagon at age 12 or 15, like they will have a memory of a mother who was engaging in her own health and well-being. And I hope that that's planting some kind of seeds for them down the road. I don't know. They're each on their own journey too. That's the other thing that gives me some peace, is the awareness of like their souls, I believe, chose me and their father to come through. And I don't know what their karma is. I don't know what their dharma is. I don't know what their life path is. And I am not the one who's supposed to control it or manipulate it. I'm just here holding presence and loving them, you know, because it screws with my head too much to like think about like, oh my gosh, I hope they turn out okay, you know, versus like they each are their own beautiful soul and they're going to be okay in this lifetime.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about like the explosion of women and I would say in the creator economy, or this, you know, where we're creating our own careers and we're creating our own way of reworking a system. I see a lot more, like in Wellness Pro Academy, we have a lot more women than men. In the wellness profession, we have a lot more women than men. And I'm going to kind of feed off something that Cate mentioned earlier about, you know, as women, like I can't remember who said it actually, but just as like, we have to kind of like try harder to stay within the box. I want to, I guess, point out that like, but in a lot of ways, we have a lot more creative freedom than men to create outside the box. And we have a lot more examples of that. Like I know in my world, like 9 times out of 10, I'm talking to women. And when I am talking to men as wellness pros, it can be harder, I find, for them, because whether they're in the role of a provider and need to provide financial stability for their family, and therefore there's more risk in leaving, or whether they just don't have as many examples of people that have, you know, and not examples out like Dr. Axe or, you know, people that have, you know, whatever, Dr. Mercola, like people who've really like kind of crushed it, you know, online, but just seeing more on their friends, their colleagues, like people that they can call and ask and be like, hey, how did you shift out of your, you know, we'll use Betsy's example, you know, your day-to-day course, you know, or your day-to-day, you know, consulting with clients to being a course creator. So how do you, because I'm guessing you guys both work mostly with women or exclusively with women?
I work mostly with women, but I do work with men as well, but in executive coaching. Yeah.
Okay. So let's focus on the women and on like some of like recognizing maybe how do you help women recognize maybe the pull of intuition to step into greater freedom and to maybe experiment more in how they want to shape the future as a professional, right? Whether that's in wellness or business leadership.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my work is primarily with women. I teach several retreats a year, and I never say this is a women's retreat because I just want to see who will show up. And I feel like If a man wants to show up, I'm so happy to have him there.
Yeah.
But it's always like 90% women. And then there's like the one lone male that we're all like, yes, we're so happy you're here. But it takes me back to, I don't know, like 8 years ago, I was studying with Deepak Chopra. And so I'm at this big, training with him. And there's probably like 400 or 500 people at it. And one brave man gets up to the microphone and he says, so Dr. Chopra, I'm really curious, it's like 98% women and there's like 2% men here. What's that all about?
Yeah.
And Dr. Chopra was like, well, you need to know that women are the ones who are going to change the world. And so you just need to essentially step aside, sir, and realize that women are evolving faster. They are, and I think about it now, 8 years later, and all my study of feminist thought is that we have had it harder on some level. And so we've had to develop all these different creative aspects to ourselves. And that I do think, as the Dalai Lama said, it's the Western woman is going to change and shift this world. But I think it's also through all the growth we've had to do, we do feel more free being creative, getting outside of the box, trying a different hat on, and maybe don't have the same pressures. Both Cate and I have partners who have a stable, steady insurance, right? Health insurance. And so there is more freedom to try things, take risks, go for it. So it, I see both sides here. But I think for women, how do we encourage them? I think the way I'm doing it is do this for yourself. Do your own healing, get clear, do the tasks, do the practices. And then because of that, you start to shift. Again, if you're the center line of the family, of the community, of your business, you start to shift people around you by your presence, by your energy, by your vibration, by who you are as a human. And I think that is actually a really beautiful business model, because we keep up-leveling our own life, and then we keep drawing more people who want to up, right? It's like a win-win as women do the work and take the risks and do their own healing, and right, they start to draw in people who want to do the same. And it's sort of like, this, Cate, it's this beautiful symphony of where we keep just encouraging each other to expand and grow. And it's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cate.
Yeah. And I think in my work, part of, for me, coaching is really about holding the space. And I think so many women don't give themselves space. So consumed with taking care of everyone and being the one that's, kind of in charge of making sure everyone else is okay. That's the whole midlife awakening, right? We're like, wait a second, where did I go in all of this? Where have I disappeared to? And what was it I wanted back when I was 25? What was that dream I had? So for me, I love to hold space for women who are ready, open, and willing to have that space weekly to say, I'm going to dive back into her. I'm going to find her again. I'm going to rediscover myself, return to myself, and also take all the lessons that I've learned, do some of that self-awareness work, the healing work, be able to acknowledge, what's impacted me and what's shifted for me, but also what is the essence of me and how can I show up more authentically in my life. And I always tell people, it's not about necessarily leaving your job. I don't believe in making big decisions when you have big emotion. I think part of the times we're living in are big emotions. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of feelings when you have children of what's happening with our world. And so that can be really daunting. But I think it's also this huge opportunity to reconnect with your feminine, which is creative, which is, where can I make a difference? I might keep my day job, but I need to replug into my passion over here. I need to help. I love seeing women that are finding ways to feel fulfilled and that they're bringing something to the world, that they've always had these gifts. So rediscovering those gifts and then how to deploy them. And that might be leaving your career. It might be leaving a marriage. It may just be looking for ways to connect back into community and be a part of something where you feel really fulfilled. So there's lots of different ways, I think, for women to embrace creativity and give back. And then doing it in community and with other women, there's a lot of support, and it feels, that's the feminine too, right? It feels very supportive to see other women. And when we model it for each other, support each other, support our businesses, one and all, like how do we also show up for each other? And I think that's what women do so well. And often men are kind of isolated from that. And so I see a difference. Like you said, I think that there's some real truth in that.
Anything to add, Betsy?
No, I'm just ready for the next question, Cate. I always love your mind and how it thinks about things. I'm like, oh, what's next? What's next? No pressure, Cate.
No, I don't feel pressure.
Surrounded by Cate.
A lot of Cate
energy going on here today.
So I'm in the middle for Wellness Pro Academy. I built this detox certification because of leading detoxes for 2 decades, over 50 detoxes, and noticing how it creates this great leap forward. And I was leaning into this next challenge I'm going to run for my Club Thrive community. And I'm very devoted, we can say, to intuition as a practice. And I was actually creating this virtuous cycle of intuition tip sheet to help my members at Club Thrive experience what I'm experiencing from that. And in noticing this next launch I'm doing for Wellness Pro Academy around the detox certification and for Club Thrive around what I want to lead the next challenge on, what was really striking me, and I'm in Mexico for the past month, is how many people, but I have noticed probably women more than men, but not because it's happening to women more than men, but that's just where my awareness has gone, are carrying too much weight. So, and I'm looking at like the 25 to 50 pounds. So there are people who are here, they're on vacation, they're mostly women working professionals, and watching how they relax, recharge, celebrate, right? Because I'm just like living my life in my condo complex, like surfing up front, swimming, doing all my things with my friends, because we've been here for, 15 years or longer at this point. And just seeing this contrast, right, of like how does the women working professional, who I think is like a lot of your target audience and a lot of, for Wellness Pros, a lot of our target audience, like how are we culturally conditioned to experience our bodies, to recharge and go on vacation and whatnot. And so like what's really been striking me is alcohol use, like just food and alcohol, and like a lot of sedentary behavior. Whereas like me and my friends down here are like insanely active, and we don't really drink much. We eat a lot of like raw fruits and, tacos. Keep it pretty simple. Occasionally a little tequila, but like there's contrast to these cultures. So then I was on this morning with a member of Club Hero, which is like our inner circle at Club Thrive. And she also coaches for us in marketing at Wellness Pro Academy. And so I asked her, I said, I'm like, you've lost weight since being with us. Like, how much weight have you lost? And she paused and she said, well, I'm at about 140 and I was at 170. That was 14 months ago. I was like, well, what's changed from that? And she's really sensitive about like how much body shaming there is, right? And how she felt at that weight and how she didn't know what she was missing, right? She didn't know how good she could feel, right? And it had nothing to do with how other people thought of her, but it was just about her in touch with her potential, in touch with her intuition. And so what I'm wondering from you two, and actually maybe more particularly, well, no, because you're both in psychology. Okay. Right. So if both of you, it's like, how do I want to approach this as I invite Wellness Pros to kind of study? They're going to study my behind the scenes launch for basically like a weight loss challenge that'll go live in June. And then I'll launch the challenge to my list. Our list is like, I don't know, maybe about 60,000. So it's like, I'm quite aware that I can do this wrong, right? I can do this wrong. Actually, and I can do this really right too. Yeah. And then the goal of the challenge is basically 500. It's $500. 100 people can come. I want to sell it out. And I really only want women that are 25 to 50 pounds overweight. Like I'll take a few men, but for the most part, It's that. So any advice that you guys have on, or anything that strikes you as I even talk about this, anything that you just want to give voice to?
Yeah. Oh, I have so much, Cate.
I knew you would, Betsy.
Yeah. I have so much.
Okay, I'll start typing.
Okay, well, I've always been really interested in the psychological, I'm trained as a health psychologist, I'm always interested in the connection between people's thoughts, emotions, and then the body, and that everything shows up on the body or in the body, right? Any psychology, any emotional state, it all shows up in the body, whether that's 25 pounds of extra weight or illness. It just like your psyche is in your body, your subconscious mind is in your body. And so I've always been a firm believer too that it's not, and I've had arguments with my trainer about this, it is not calories in and calories out, right? It is not, it is so much more complicated than that. And it's not even, we can't even scientifically understand why someone carries 25 extra pounds, right? Like I know it's, what your metabolism is, but my interest and my expertise is the psychological piece. What is the psychology of it? Is it like I'm not worthy of looking good? Is it I'm scared to look good because then more will be expected of me? Is it the fear of who am I to feel vibrant and alive at age 50? I'm a mom of 3, for God's sake. Is it, I had one woman that I worked with for years who had lost like 40 or 50 pounds. And as soon as she lost it, she felt so fearful and raw. Like she had to put it back on. It took her, like months and months and months to lose this weight. And then she felt too exposed, too raw, too scared in the world. And she just put it right back on. So there's all this psychology behind it that I think to me is the interesting piece, because it's why people hold on. And it's old emotion, right? Like when you're holding on to 25, 30, 40, it is old shit that hasn't been processed through your system, right? And so you also during the weight loss are going to potentially re-experience some of that pain, some of that sadness, you talk about Cate holding on to other people's stuff. Like how much is the extra weight we're carrying? We're just holding on to other people's shit that we subconsciously took on, right? So to me, there's like so many layers here. It's so much more than, I want to look good, but there's so many pieces here. So I don't know if that helps you or confuses you.
Well, that was interesting because right after she said that, I was like, what's made the biggest difference? Because she doesn't have, she was carrying it forever, right? So then it's like, what made the difference? And she's like, primal habits. So, and I know you guys are into rewilding women, and that's your core message or one of your core messages. And to me, that was like, okay, so there's something that happens when and what we know about primal habits in Club Thrive is that they stack, right? So they compound, right? So the more you do, the easier they all are. There's something in the primal habits that allows that emotional processing. And the other thing that we're doing in Club Thrive is we do 2 detoxes a year and 2 challenges a year for our members. And then we get them to invite their friends. We give them extra passes so they all get a pass. And then they get passes to give to their people. So then they're advocates, right? So they're building community around the primal habits, which also brings their mini culture along. Mm-hmm. So there's something in like me engineering, we go back to the creator economy, like me just listening for 20 years and just building according to what's working. And we end up with that structure, and then it's just faster, easier. So there's something to me that's absolutely crucial about what you're saying. I think what Cate said earlier about the women are more group centric, more able to learn and collaborate with each other. So by doing these detoxes and challenges together and feeling like there's, a couple hundred people in there and you feel the momentum, it's easier. It's just easier to take the right action to help yourself, whether that's doing deep trauma processing work, whether that's doing a 5-day fast mimicking diet that's just going to surface those emotions really, really quickly, where it's just like guaranteed to surface the stuff in case it's stuck. And because everyone else is doing it, it's cool. Like there's definitely...
Because
So
I
I love
love the woman that lost those 30 pounds. She didn't go to this to lose the weight, did she?
No.
She went into it because she wanted to be a part of the community and learn these primal habits. And then the bonus of it was that she lost 30 pounds and reconnected to.
She wanted to find her power. She didn't want. People don't want primal habits. No one wants primal habits. Like they're like no one really wants to do downward dog, right? Or Padmasana or back bends, but like they want to look good in their yoga pants. Like they want to feel good in their yoga pants.
Yeah.
They want to be able to be comfortable.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think women especially want to feel good. We numb out. There's a million things to distract us. We experience grief throughout our life. We hold on to that for everyone else. We're constantly just soaking that up. And at some point we wake up and say, I don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
There's not something like diagnosable. It's just, I don't feel good anymore. And I don't even remember what it's like to feel good. So I think the process is really about, again, returning to yourself. And like, I want to feel good again. I want to have energy. I want to, it may be I want to look good in my clothes, but it's more about like an inner sense of like feeling good. And I think as you are working with people in community and they see others feeling good, that it becomes contagious. And it is a feeling of like, I have the power. I'm empowered to do this for myself, because we kind of turn that power over at some point where we say, it's just the culture's this, it's drinking when you go out with your friends. It's
or
like,
I'm going through menopause. People gain weight when you're menopause, right? Like,
right.
It's like, there's all these ideas about like, oh, this is just normal. It's normal for us to carry extra weight. And it's
No, I mean, it's super clear in our Ayurveda that you get lighter as you age. So from Pitta time of life to Vata time of life, if you're in peak health, you're lightening up, you're enlightening, and we get that with osteopenia, osteoporosis. It's like you want to be lighter in your bones. You want to be agile. You want to be able to move quick, and you want access to your subtle body. You want access to be able to deep time, deep space. Like you're a wise elder. So you need to communicate across generations. You need to communicate from the future, from the past, from the way past, distant past into the future. Like you're now spirit and matter, right?
so interesting.
well, in that connection, I think women, I mean, I can speak to this personally, like you get further away from being connected to your body. And so at some point you realize,
Wait, why? Why was that? Why did you? How does that happen?
I feel like, I think it's a combination of things, but I think when things happen to us, when trauma happens, we start to disassociate with our body. We like Betsy said, those traumas live in our body, but we're not aware of them because we've kind of removed ourselves from being connected to it. So as I've spent time returning to that, it is uncomfortable. And I need to be sober to do it. And I need to be aware and in tune with myself to be able to really reconnect with my body. And that's uncomfortable, I think, for a lot of women. But I think that's the key back in and the key to health. And it's a process for me that I know I'm going through menopause right now too. And so you get all these mixed messages about like what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing. And so what I think the masses do is they just revert back to what's easy. And that's to just numb out from it and not feel empowered.
And don't you think women's like, especially, we're trying to keep businesses afloat. We've got kids we're raising, we're getting food on the table, right? Like there's so much going on that it's the pleasure of like, well, I'm going to have a glass of wine, or I deserve that chocolate, or I deserve to go out with my friends and eat whatever I want. So there's this sense of like, my life is so devoid of its own pleasure because I'm running myself ragged that I deserve to have that dessert because damn it, I work hard. And so that is a mindset that I think is really part of this. Cate and I just did a podcast on alcohol because neither of us really drink anymore. And it came because we actually both have spouses who have problems with it. And so they're both sober now, but it made us really start to look at our own drinking habit and how, this is my perspective on it. I think alcohol is one way to keep everyone in the matrix. It's one way to really, it's so culturally accepted. It's so much a part of every celebration. And so it keeps people, it's a depressant. It's like the dark
sugar,
dark energy.
It's like junkier than sugar.
It is so junky. And like everyone does it. And it keeps people in the boxes. It's sort of like it keeps the culture half asleep so that we follow all of the ideas that the culture's trying to feed us. And I see this. I mean, I was not a huge drinker, but I was like a 1 glass a night, maybe certain nights I'd have 2 glasses. And once I finally got free of that, I am so much more clear. I sleep good. And I feel like I'm not pulled into social media or things in the same way that I once was. Like, I feel like I'm a freer thinker because I'm not like in the energy or the vibration of alcohol. And I don't think anyone is really talking about this because, again, it's like, oh, 1 glass of wine, it's totally fine. Actually, I'm not sure it is totally fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Huberman's talking about it on David Wolf. In one of his books he wrote like 20 years ago, he went through all the entheogens and how exactly what you're saying, like
number one toxin. It's like way more toxin than any of the,
yeah. Well, just how alcohol is used to subdue culture, right? That's why it's legal. That's why it's,
yeah.
I would love the link. We'll put that in the chat. I want to return to something, this whole idea, and I so agree, and I could just hear people rebutting. So my life is so devoid of its own pleasure, I deserve too, right? I deserve to like sugar placate and make myself feel good with cheap thrills, whether it's alcohol or food or internet shopping or like just some very like superficial level of the hit. So, but the thing is you're like, how's everything? Oh, it's fine. Like, fine, everything's fine. Busy.
Yeah. How are you? Busy.
Good. So how do you help people get in touch with the devoidness of real pleasure? Like, what I would say is, like, if I were to write that, people who are that would not resonate with that. It's only when they're on the other side of it, maybe for years, right, that they could see that. So how do you help, 2-part question. Part 1, how do you help people notice that, self-diagnose, to be like, oh, that's maybe what's going on here. And chances are I've had like 10 warning signs, right? So what are those warning signs that I could look out for? And then 2, how do you help them invest? Because what we know in Club Thrive, and I know you guys know it with the women that work with you, is when people have skin in the game and when they invest and they walk through that door, right? Because now they've bought their ticket to get on the inside, right? Like, how do you get people who've not done that because they're going to figure it out on their own? And they have no idea how much that's disadvantaging them and how they can't. It's not a figure it out on your ownable problem. So how do you guys help people get that, both of those things?
I actually think for the toxic positive, everything is fine. I'm just really busy. I'm enjoying my life. I don't know if we can capture them, Cate. I think that it is some really painful wake-up call in their life that finally brings them to their knees, that says, okay, I need to do something different. So it is, I know, it is the diagnosis, it is the divorce, it is the infidelity, it is the death of a family member. It's like that.
Okay, and what were the warning signs? What were the warning signs? Yeah, what were the warning signs? And I love how you even said toxic positives, because you gave it a name. So I'll create a quiz on, are you toxic positive?
There's a really great book, by the way, called Toxic Positivity. You should check it out. It's amazing. It just speaks to this whole thing. I mean, it's spiritually bypassing is probably another way to say it, but it's all the same family. So your question was,
what were the early warning signs?
I think for many people, they've actually never been connected to their authentic nature because our culture doesn't.
How would they know that? They can't figure that out for themselves, right? They're not going to use that language.
They feel numb. They look at other people and think their life must be so much better because they're smiling. How come I'm not feeling that happy? There's got to be something more.
Feel stuck.
There's a sense of stuckness.
Yeah. I think it's to your point, I think there's the warning signs. Anytime I worked with people, especially when I was in the work of doing divorce work. Inevitably, women would say, the signs were all there. They were all there. I'm looking back now and this and this and this and this. And so, I think it's hard to see the signs, of course, in the moment. There's a 2020 thing that does happen. But so I think how you help one another and how I've tried to help women is just no one's creating space for themselves to look inward. No one says, unless you're going to go to therapy, which, is absolutely a place that happens, but usually that happens because of a crisis. So I think that's one of the things I love about coaching. It's it's an entry point that's not, it kind of gets people in, and then we start talking about, what do you enjoy in your life? Where do you feel like there's areas of your life that you're unhappy with? And then the conversations start, and people start saying, well, my health is really not that good. And then, that conversation, it kind of opens the door to that conversation. And I just finished a group program about thriving. When women are saying it in a group and they're like, oh yeah, I have that same experience. There's suddenly, you can almost feel it over the computer. It's like this collective energy of okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. This is actually true. And then, it's because awareness is the first step of anything. And so how do you help people have space to be self-aware? And then the courage to take action comes, right? Because then you can't unsee it sometimes after you've had that moment of clarity. But you have to have some willingness to open a door to do something different. And that's what your program and
there has to be enough pain. There has to be enough pain.
Yeah. Or desire for something different. And the desire we lose too as women. So I love, I had to reawaken that in myself, and that all is heart-based work. What do I want? Do I want this for the rest of my life? Is this it? Or do I want something more?
I think of how, because I'm really married to this club concept that if you're in the right club, things just happen. Mm-hmm. And because I think we've all experienced that. I experienced it a lot through sports teams. Right. If you're on the right team, you get better. If you're on the wrong team, you end up having with bad behaviors, right? Sort of how it works. And then if I look at, if you look at country clubs or mastermind groups or whatnot that are all pay to play, right? There's some effort, right? There's some effort that's expended and some skin in the game. There's some intention there's some pain in there with you're parting with some level of potential in that money. But then because of that, you're way more likely to show up. So for the women who are trying to figure it out on their own and they're doing the free stuff, what advice do you have for them? The women who should be working with you or us and but they have this well, I'll just figure it out on my own.
Where they skirt around it. I see a lot of women
they skirt around it, but they're not getting to the root of it, and they don't know what they're missing.
I think that comes to people feeling like they're not worthy, right? What am I worthy of? Am I worthy of those shoes? Am I worthy of a massage?
Am I worthy of paying this much money to do a program?
Yeah. Am I worthy? Yeah. Am I worthy of actually allowing myself to discover myself? I don't know that I'm worth that. And I do think that that's the hurdle for women, is this worthiness of investing in themselves, because it is an investment. It's an investment in your future, in the life you want to have. And we're really not taught that that's necessary and that we are worthy. And so you have to somehow come to terms. And that's why I think we do end up using the crisis. Mm-hmm. Somehow that makes us feel like, okay,
it's worth it. I've got a diagnosis, and now I deserve to pay this much money to go on this retreat.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that's so good. That's so good. We use the crisis to give ourselves permission to do what we actually
know we need.
Intuitively at a deep level.
That's so true. Yeah, that's so
maybe
true.
The message is, don't wait for the crisis. Don't wait. Life's too short. Don't wait.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks. That was helpful. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Well, as you're asking me these questions, I've worked with you enough, and I'm like, oh, I know what she's doing. She's trying to figure out the pain points, because that's how you got to figure out the pain points, right? But it is so.
I'm trying to figure out the language. I'm trying to figure out I think Cate really hit it on the head. It's like we want to feel good more than we want to look good, because I think we're, and the studies recently show that that's increasingly true. So Gen Z is 10 times more overweight than, or like percentage of population than kids in the 1950s, but they're way less aware of it. Right. So we're increasingly unaware of how much the connection between weight, health, and aging, and how it shortens health span, and how much it accelerates aging and dementia. Right. So we're completely unaware of it as a species. And so it has it's not about looking good at all anymore. It's so much more about, is there still, I think what I'm playing into is like, is there enough natural intelligence? Is there enough wild intelligence that's still signaling? The signal's still strong enough if you can feel good. Just coming.
Can you feel? Yeah. That's feel. Actually, freaking feel. I think it starts there.
I think you're right.
Because we're so numbed out, but we don't know it.
Yeah.
We're numbed out by our phones. We're numbed out by our Starbucks. We're numbed out by all the emails in our inbox. I just don't think very many people are actually literally feeling their lives.
Yeah. And that generation particularly, because they're digital natives, their whole lives have been,
and their moms are 25 to 50 pounds overweight.
That's the model they see.
That's what they're living at home.
And their depression, anxiety is higher than any other demographic right now. Yeah. So
they were on meds too that numb them out even more.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what it is. How do we help them? How do we help people feel?
So can you also paint the picture of those moments when you actually are feeling? Because even if you're relatively numbed out, which we've all been at various times, you can have an experience where something awakens in you, whether it's like a gorgeous thing in nature or the birth of your child, or, you can have these moments where everything comes back online. And you're like, oh my God, I'm alive and I'm here and I feel awe and this is amazing. And then you go back to sleep. So even giving people experiences of that and being like, what if you could actually live in a feeling body most of your days, but we can't selectively feel either. So then when you're feeling, you do feel the hard stuff too. You don't just feel the bliss and the joy, right? You feel all of it.
And I feel like that when we've done retreats together, those travel can do that opens people's senses. So I also, bringing people into a new environment, getting them out of their current environment into something new, your senses light up. There is a feeling, I noticed that with our retreats, women, it's like everything tastes better. Colors are brighter and, which is all true in a beautiful setting, but you're also out of your normal
feeling. You're
in liminal space. I love that liminal thinking book. It really goes into that. And that, I think, is the difference too. I think it's going to tie it together, is it's the going in, they're kind of trying to do all the right things, but they're still going in alone and they don't realize that's the limiting factor. Because this is what I'm kind of coming down to, is investment is the limiting factor. It's just that, because as soon as they do that, whether it's at a live event or an online event, if they can just do that, something will shift.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. This is so fun. I feel like we will list the 10 Her Wild shows that when you mention any other ones you want us to put in the show notes, we'll add.
Yeah.
I loved my interview with you guys. It was so kind on Which is Cancer. I definitely want to hear both the conversation with our old friend Marsha Neeland, yoga studio owner turned artist. We want to listen to the one about alcohol with our spouses. And then any other ones that you think are relevant.
Yeah. Okay. We'll send them to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sweet. Let's keep pod swapping. It's a blast.
Great. Great. And again, we loved that book so much. How's it like? Yeah. Are you getting lots of feedback on it?
What's happening?
I mean, hello, miss, let me put my rawest thoughts and feelings out in the world for everyone to look at and consume.
In real time.
This is all happening. And how is it going?
Great. Yeah. I mean, I started the next one, the 7 to 8 figure biohackers journal, because it's so easy to write from the lived experience. And I'm so over
just the whole publishing world and editors and all that. Because like when I wrote Master of You, it was the Awake Living Journal, and they edited the fuck out of it and destroyed it. Now it's like a good field guide, but it's going great because it's like it's all out there, just 100% transparency, right? And
it's so like, authentic, right?
Even that is you publishing outside the box. Like I felt like that was a whole out of the box experience to both read it and you putting it out there the way you did. Felt like this revolutionary way of just being like, nope, everyone's gonna consume this right alongside me. Yep.
Well, and it's so yesterday for me too. Is the other
you moved on to other things, haven't you, Kate?
Yeah, right? Because I'm like, that was like 2-3 months ago. Like I don't even remember.
3 years ago. That was 2-3 months ago. Moving on, Betsy.
Totally new person. Yeah.
Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's been nothing but good.
Good. Great.
Yeah.
Sweet. Tend Her Wild. You guys can find that where podcasts are found. And then from there, you can find Cate and Betsy's other websites, dryogamama.com. And Cate's site is catemorelandcoaching.com. Awesome. We'll do this again. I want to talk more about psychotherapists leaving therapy for coaching next.
Great. Love bring me back on. Love to talk about it.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Cate.
Bye.
Are you a podcast listener ready to guide your wellness business to more profit? We have an exclusive offer just for you. Introducing our Unique Abilities Profit Consultation. Sign up today at wellnesspro.academy/unique. Don't miss this opportunity to unlock your profit potential. During this personalized consultation, your expert coach will guide you to discover just how much money you're leaving on the table from an outdated business model. Say goodbye to trial and error and hello to tailored guidance that leverages your unique abilities. Your success coach will work closely with you to create a winning strategy that aligns with your strengths and vision. Don't let the challenges of running a wellness business hold you back from more profit any longer. Up-level your leadership with our actionable strategies. Overcome hurdles. Receive innovative solutions. Take that crucial step towards building the profitable wellness business you deserve. Schedule your free Unique Abilities Profit Consultation today. But hurry, this exclusive offer is only free for our valued podcast listeners. Don't wait. Unleash your unique abilities and unlock your true profit potential. It's time to make your mark in the world of wellness. Sign up today at wellnesspro.academy/unique. Namaste and have a great day.